The moment felt unreal, a scene torn from a twisted play I never signed up for. He strode toward our table with a daring that teetered on madness. Without hesitation, he grabbed my wife's hand, his grip possessive, his smirk dripping arrogance. "Why waste time with this weakling?" he taunted, his voice slicing through the quiet restaurant. "Let's dance first, and I'll show you what a real man can give." A slow burn of rage flared within me, yet I held my composure. Words were unnecessary. I let my actions speak. In a swift, precise motion, I twisted his hand with practiced calculation. A sickening crunch echoed through the room, followed by his agonized scream as he collapsed to the floor. Gasps swept the restaurant, whispers sparking like wildfire among stunned diners. This place had once been a haven of sophistication, a high-end restaurant where influence was brokered over fine wine and discreet deals. Dim lighting bathed polished mahogany tables in a soft glow. The delicate hum of a grand piano floated through the air. But tonight it felt like a gilded cage, trapping me in a life unraveling before my eyes. Across from me sat Amal, my wife. Her beauty was undeniable, almost otherworldly. Dark, glossy hair framed her sculpted features, and her crimson lips mirrored the sleek gown hugging every curve. She radiated elegance and poise, yet her eyes, once warm and inviting, now held a chilling distance, a void no candlelit dinner or whispered apology could bridge. For months, the divide between us had been silent yet undeniable. Late nights at her law firm, secret messages, unexplained absences that gnawed at my sanity. I had clung to the hope that tonight could repair what was breaking. Instead, I watched her slip further away, beyond my grasp, as if I were only a spectator in my own life. Then he appeared, tall, broad-shouldered, exuding the effortless confidence of a man accustomed to taking what he wanted. His suit was impeccable, tailored to perfection, but no fabric could mask the smug arrogance carved into his features. Piercing blue eyes locked onto Amal. "Amal," he said smoothly, his voice a careful mix of charm and entitlement. "I didn't expect to see you here tonight." Her reaction was immediate. She froze, wine glass suspended midair, her expression betraying more than intended. Her eyes flicked between him and me, panic rippling in their depths. "Lucas," she whispered, barely audible. "What are you doing here?" His smirk widened. "Enjoying the city," he replied, as though this were a mere coincidence. Then, to my disbelief, he reached out and took her hand, his fingers curling around hers with an intimacy that sent ice through my veins. His next words dripped with condescension. "Why stay with him? Let's dance, and I'll show you what I offer." A hush fell over the restaurant. The air thickened with unspoken tension. Amal tried to pull away, but he held firm, arrogance boundless. My pulse thundered as I rose. Chair scraping the floor, the sound slicing through silence like a knife. 3 seconds to let go of her hand," I said, my voice steady, laced with quiet menace. Lucas turned toward me, defiance etched on his face. "And if I don't?" The answer came in the form of swift, unyielding force. The crack of bone breaking rang through the space like a gunshot. Lucas staggered back, clutching his shattered hand, face twisted in agony. His scream reverberated, sending waves of shock through the room. Amal gasped, hand flying to her mouth, wide eyes reflecting horror and fear. "Magnus," she whispered, trembling, reaching for me. "What are you doing?" I ignored her. I crouched beside Lucas, my voice a whisper for him alone. "This is just the beginning," I murmured, void of sympathy. "You made a mistake tonight. I'll make sure you regret it." Pain and rage darkened his eyes. "You'll pay for this," he spat through gritted teeth. I rose, turning to Amal, frozen in her seat. "Let's go," I commanded sharply. She hesitated only a heartbeat before rising, her heels clicking against the floor as she followed. Behind us, diners murmured, buzzing with speculation like a swarm of wasps. The drive home was suffocating. Silence coiled around us, thick with tension. Amal sat rigid in the passenger seat, hands clenched so tightly her knuckles turned white. I felt the weight of her thoughts, her mind scrambling for a way to undo what had just happened. Pulling into the garage, I turned off the engine and finally looked at her. "Talk," I demanded, voice cutting through the quiet like a blade. She flinched, composure unraveling. "Magnus, I don't know what you want me to say," she murmured, eyes fixed on her lap. I leaned closer, patience fraying. "I want the truth," I said, voice dangerously low. "Who is he? How long has this been going on?" Tears welled in her eyes, but I felt nothing. Whatever sympathy I once felt for her had long since dried up. "It's complicated," she began, but I cut her off with a bitter laugh. "Complicated?" I echoed, shaking my head. "Let me make it simple. Either you tell me everything now, or I'll find out myself. And trust me, you won't like how that ends." Her shoulders slumped, the last remnants of resistance drained away. 6 months, she whispered, voice trembling. "Began 6 months ago." The admission hit harder than I expected. Though deep down I had already suspected the truth, I inhaled sharply, forcing my anger into submission. My voice, cold and steady, sliced through the heavy silence. "What exactly was tonight supposed to be?" "Yes." Each word deliberate, carrying quiet menace. "A spectacle, a public display to humiliate me, to flaunt your betrayal." Amal flinched, her breath hitching. "No," she cried, voice breaking under guilt. "I didn't know he'd be there. Magnus, I swear." "Stop." The single word cut through her protest like steel. I leaned slightly forward, eyes burning into hers. "I saw the way you looked at him. The way you froze when he spoke. You knew." A choked sob escaped her as trembling hands covered her face. Her body shook with shame. The car filled with the sound of her despair. But I felt nothing. No pity, no sorrow. Only a cold, calculated certainty that what we had once shared was gone. My gaze remained fixed ahead, thoughts a storm of rage and ruthless determination. I needed answers, yes, but more than that, I needed a plan. The next morning, in my office overlooking the Geneva skyline, my mind churned with a relentless need for retribution. Betrayal was poison, capable of devouring a man who let it. But I would not be consumed. If Amal and Lucas thought they could walk away unscathed, they were about to discover their mistake. I started with Lucas. A simple online search peeled back the layers of his carefully curated image. Social media painted a life of excess. Luxury cars, private jets, designer suits, a facade of untouchable wealth and influence. Yet beneath the polish were cracks. Failed ventures, lawsuits, whispers of shady dealings. Lucas was not untouchable. I activated my network. Men who owed favors, those skilled in exposing fraud. Within hours, I had a thick dossier. Bank records, unpaid loans, reckless investments, all evidence of a man barely treading water in a sea of deception. Enough to ruin him. But I wasn't finished. Next came Amal. While she carried on as if life were normal, I quietly collected every piece of evidence I could find. Emails, texts, photos of her and Lucas in careless stolen moments. Every fragment was stored securely. A vault of leverage, not vengeance. Should she resist during divorce proceedings, I would not hesitate to use it. The final act required a stage worthy of their downfall. A carefully placed invitation ensured Lucas would attend an elite charity gala, a gathering of Geneva's most powerful. Simultaneously, I ensured the dossier exposing his financial crimes reached a scandal-hungry journalist. By night's end, Lucas was front-page news. A society scandal, the collapse of his fraudulent empire. Every hidden sin laid bare. Financial crimes, extortion, systematic exploitation of wealthy women. His pristine reputation dissolved overnight. Accounts frozen, assets seized. Associates scrambling to distance themselves. Amal fared no better. Gossip grew louder, invitations ceased, friends vanished. Her meticulously curated world crumbled piece by agonizing piece. Even family, once her fortress, recoiled, leaving her alone to face the consequences. When we met in court to finalize the divorce, she was a shadow of her former self. Poise replaced by hollow eyes. Desperation quiet but palpable. Stepping out of the courtroom, she whispered my name, fragile and uncertain. Magnus. I know I hurt you, but was this necessary? I met her gaze, expression unreadable, voice void of sympathy. You made your choices, Amal, I said simply. Choices have consequences. Tears glimmered in her eyes, shimmering under the unforgiving daylight. She swallowed hard, nodded once, and walked away. No more words. Months passed. Life settled into a new rhythm, free from tension and unspoken accusations. The house, once suffocating, now felt peaceful. I immersed myself in work, closing deals, expanding my company across Europe. Betrayal's sting lingered but softened over time, replaced by clarity. Then one evening, at another charity gala, a light tap on my shoulder brought a new presence. Turning, I met a woman exuding quiet sophistication. Mr. Adler, she greeted warmly, smile effortless. I'm Isabel, a historian. I've heard much about your work. It's impressive. We spent hours talking. Her wit and intelligence were a welcome contrast to the shallow interactions I'd grown accustomed to. For the first time in years, something genuine stirred within me. Later, on my balcony, city lights stretching endlessly, I reflected on the path that led here. Betrayal had cut deep, yet forged strength in its wake. Lifting a glass to the night sky, I whispered what had carried me through darkness. Pain sharpens us. Strength shapes us. And as I stepped inside, one thought lingered in the cool night air. Betrayal can break you, but renewal rebuilds.